Are we recording, John?
We are.
Great, thank you. Hi, welcome everybody. I'm Dan Green. I'm the interim office manager and registrar for John Adams Academy, and I'll be joining the faculty this fall as the secondary school math teacher. Some of you joined us last time for our first round of founding faculty introductions, and tonight is the second round. We have all new faculty to introduce to you. So we'll be going through this list of folks. And we've asked each one of them to make a personal statement to tell us a little bit about where they came from, um, why they find the prospect of working at John Adams Academy exciting, and to speak to the core values of the school that they find most appealing. So what we're going to do is we're going to take them one by one, and then we'll reserve some time at the end for questions and answers. So you see at the bottom of your Zoom window, there's a little Q&A button. You can feel free to type your questions in there, and then at the end of the session, I'll try to address as many as I can. Having said all that, I'm going to start with Amy Jones. She's our new kindergarten teacher, and I'd like to hand over the mic to her and have her introduce herself to us.
Hi everyone, I am Amy Jones and I am going to be the kindergarten teacher this year, which I'm very excited about. A little bit about me was I graduated from the University of Colorado and I started my career, and when we had children, I was lucky enough to stay home and just immerse myself in everything I could, helping our children grow and learn and being there, and volunteered as much as I could at their school and just loved it so much that I knew that was what my career was going to be once they were all in school. So I started with enrichment programs and was then asked to become a substitute. And then from there, I knew I wanted to be in my own classroom. So I've been in a pre-kindergarten class for the last 2 years. And I'm excited to move up to kindergarten because it's such an amazing season of a child's education, and there's so much wonder and curiosity, which leads me to how I found John Adams Academy was because I believe in their 10 core values, especially the personal responsibility and accountability. It's just helping them create a strong foundation and love of learning is what I'm excited to bring to the school.
It's great. That's wonderful. It's great that you're from University of Colorado. My daughter's going there this fall, actually. So we have something in common there. Um,
Yes.
yeah, I'd like to introduce to you next Dana Cunningham. She'll be our special education teacher. We at John Adams Academy accept students of all walks of life, and I have to disclose those of you who were on the Meet the Faculty webinar last time know that I have an IEP daughter, and classical education was really helpful for her. So I'm eager to meet Dana Cunningham here, and I'll just turn the mic over to her.
Hi, I will be the special education teacher joining John Adams this fall. I really feel like my heart is in special education. I started there about 4 years ago, and then I decided to kind of do a backwards route and go into general education first so that I could see what's happening inside the classroom, so that the special education teachers and the support staff and the faculty has a greater understanding of kind of what they're getting into when they come in with those accommodations and the different types of differentiation and scaffolding that's really required with the collaboration between the special education teachers and the gen ed teachers. So I just, like you were saying with your daughter, I'm sure the classical education really kind of helped her elaborate with her own thinking. Really puts the learning back on the students, which I feel like is very important. And so to be able to bring that into the general education setting and the special education setting, and being able to intertwine those is so important. So I'm really excited and eager to help and support the students here with their diverse learning needs, and to really support them in gaining those core values and virtues as well. I'm very excited to build this team as well. I know since it's a founding faculty, we get more of the kind of struggles in a sense, but at the same time, you also reap what you sow. So it's going to be really exciting to see what we get and the kind of camaraderie that we build. So I'm very excited.
We're very excited to have you on board as well. I think it's really important to for us as faculty to lean on this SPED department because
Yeah.
we need to understand the scholars under our care really, really very deeply. And for us, in my previous experience, we always went to the SPED teacher for suggestions. And
Yeah.
I to accommodate a student's needs. How do I help this student work on this math problem? How do I help scaffold this math problem for the student? And so I think it's very, very exciting that we have you on board.
Awesome. Thank you.
And next up is Emily Fisher. She'll be our first grade teacher.
Hi everyone. My name is Emily Fisher. I'm going to be the first grade teacher at John Adams. I'm graduating next month from Metro State. I'm going to get a degree in English literature, so I'm very excited. A little stressed out about finals right now, but we're getting through it, so I'm very excited to have that completed. I've been working as support in elementary classrooms while I've been getting my degree. So I have a lot of experience from kindergarten all the way through sixth grade. So I also have training in Orton Gillingham. So I have experience with literacy and small groups and teaching kids literacy. So that's exciting. But I'm very excited about working with younger children, especially in the classical education sector, just because I was drawn to the core values, especially the mentorship and modeling what we teach. I think that's so important in the classroom, especially for those younger kids. So, yeah, I'm just very excited to be here and start my teaching career with you guys. So.
That's really exciting. I do have a question for you. So you dropped a term there that maybe some of our listeners aren't acquainted with, Orton Gillingham. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's a approach to literacy, one of many. I got training in it in 2024, so a couple of years ago. But basically, it's to help children who struggle with reading, and it's a more structured approach with phonics and literacy, and the yeah, just structured reading. And so, yeah, I'm excited to do more of that because when I was talking to Sarah about it, she said that we would be implementing that in the classroom. So yeah, I'm very excited about that.
Thank you very much. I think let's see, what do we have up next? We have Firmesk. Firmesk Sardar Khan will be another kindergarten teacher for us this fall.
Yes, hi everyone. I'm Firmesk Sardar Khan, and I'm currently a first grade teacher at Landmark Academy, and I will be teaching kindergarten at John Adams Academy. And I am currently pursuing in my master's degree in education. I will be finishing that up this summer, and I'm very excited working with the students, working with everyone else, get to knowing everyone in the team. And I love working with kids. I have 5 kids of mine, and what brought me into the education field was my own kids. So I started off in Atlanta, Georgia. I was a substitute teacher. I was subbing and was drawn into like just the teaching. I started like looking at my background is in psychology. So I wasn't able to work in my field. So when I was subbing, I realized that this is what I want to do, and I really love teaching. After working 4 years as a substituting at schools, different schools, I started to having I was into it. Like I love what I was doing. I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. So I was a first grade teacher in Atlanta, and I like it's been almost 8 months that I've been in Colorado. I moved to Colorado from Atlanta, and it has been a great experience at Landmark. And I'm a first grade teacher at Landmark. It's been incredible, and working with the students, learning new things. I love teaching.
Thank you very much for Mesk. I really appreciate that sharing that. It's exciting. We're glad that Colorado is getting your expertise and that we're the beneficiaries of that. Five children. Wow. I get tired just with my two. My two are just almost graduated now. They won't unfortunately have the chance to attend JAA because one is a junior and one is a graduating senior now. And we're not offering those grades yet. I wish that they'd had that chance because we're going to be adding a grade every year, of course, and we'll be K through 12 here in a few years. But
Right.
to start off, we'll be just K through 8. But anyway, five kids. I have no idea how you do that. But so congratulations on that.
So I
Um,
got used to it, and people ask me all the time, like everyone was like, "How could you manage? How could you do it?" I was like, "I guess I could do it. I mean, I have done it. Like, I mean, these are my kids, and they're all growing up now. And my oldest, she's 11, and they're all back to back. So they're great. They're great kids, and I really love what I do as a teacher, and just growth in kids. Um, it's so beautiful when you see like where they at and when they make the progress and you see their growth.
I completely agree. All right, let's hand it over to Hank Lacey. Hank Lacey is going to be a secondary science teacher. I've been chatting with Hank now for a while about curriculum as we talk about implementing honors and AP classes and implementing a science sequence in the secondary school that makes sense. Hank brings deep experience to that field. So, Hank, welcome, and we'll let you have some airtime here.
How you doing, everybody? Thanks for having us. Uh, I'm a little more grizzled than some of my colleagues here. I've been teaching science for 18 years, here and there, middle school, high school, even a little bit of college. Not too much college, probably a good thing. Um, and I'm pretty excited about this John Adams Academy adventure because I guess I would say there's two of the virtues that speak to me. One of them is this notion of accountability. Um, I benefited from that when I was younger. I'm sure I'm not the only one. And I feel like it builds confidence in kids to put some reasonable, thoughtful, compassionate expectations in front of them and watch them achieve them and watch them run with them and exceed them. Um, and I know that warms a lot of teachers' hearts, and I'm one of them. And the other one that I think speaks to me a lot, and maybe it's a little bit of a strange one, is this idea of a culture of greatness. Um, the world's a pretty exciting place, and you know it's got lots of challenges for all of us. And I think if we encourage this idea that if you can dream it, you can do it, and if you can stay focused and be persistent and put forth the effort, we're all going to be really amazed at what kids do. So, those kind of drive my interest. I'm excited about helping to build a science program and working with your kids. So thanks for having me.
Well, we're delighted to have you. Thank you very much, Hank. I appreciate that. Um, and then we're on to is Jen Stearns. I think we see Jen here.
Okay. Hi. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you, Jen.
Okay, cool. All right. Okay, nice to meet everyone. So I'll be teaching the fifth grade. So I moved to the Denver area a couple months ago, and most of my teaching experience has been teaching English abroad. I was teaching in China and South Korea for a number of years. The last few years, I've been a math tutor in schools while finishing up my grad school in history. And excuse me, yeah, I'm excited to teach fifth grade. It's a good age. They can do a lot more, and they're curious and they ask a lot of interesting questions. And also, as a classical school, they are because they emphasize character development a lot more than other schools. I think that's really imperative for that age group. And I haven't filled out the form yet, but if enough students want to do it, I would also like to coach cross country. because I run and I did that in high school and a little bit in middle school also. And I always looked at cross country as kind of like a refuge for students who, like me, are not good at any other sport, but anybody can run. So like I played soccer, but my ball handling skills were non-existent. So, I thought it's really good to have this sport available. So yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And we're going to have so much space at John Adams Academy. We have such a generous grant of land. It's just an amazing amount of space that we'll be able to do sports in a way that few charter schools can. And so I don't know what Sarah's thinking is, but we're delighted to have you interested in cross country. My daughters, by the way, both did cross country and track, and they found it was just an integral part of being part of the culture of the school. Running every weekend at meets and stuff. So that's just really, really exciting. I'm glad to hear you're a math tutor too. But Jen, everybody wants to know, are you being held by King Kong in that slide?
Oh,
We
yeah.
just want to know whose thumb is that?
Because I'm not photogenic, but I'm surprisingly really, I think, okay looking in this picture, so that's why I chose it. It's was taken in the Science of Weird. No, sorry, that doesn't make sense. Museum of Weird. I lived in Austin for a while, so
Okay, all right, and they have like a big hand or something you can step in
yeah,
and
it's like huge King Kong
no kidding.
sculpture, and you can just put yourself in there.
I wondered, so as the office manager, I'm the guy who processes all the bio shots, and puts them on the website. And I was like, well, that's probably the most interesting biographical photograph that anyone ever, the single most interesting headshot that we've had this year. So thanks. I was wondering about that. I was a little concerned for your safety.
Okay. Yeah, not real.
Yeah, all right. Christy Lynn, I think you're up next. So she'll be our first grade teacher, one of our first grade teachers.
Yeah, looking forward to it. I was born and raised in Hawaii. When I was 18, I moved to Guam for 18 years, and I started my education there. I was a first grade teacher in a private Christian school there, then went on to do things, and I have 5 kids myself too, all within 7 years. So that was part of the culture there, and that's just how it worked out. And like she said, you just do it. So okay, first grade was on Guam. I did 7th grade math in Arizona when the pandemic hit. All the kids came back. Only about a third of the teachers did. So they pulled anyone that wanted to be a teacher, put them in the classroom, and got them started with the educational certification. I did 4th grade in Oregon. Here in Colorado, I've done middle school math and high school business and early childhood education, so I'm spread. I will be the first grade teacher, which I'm looking forward to because I like the littles. Teacher's still a superhero, and they don't know it all yet. So I really enjoy that. I have an MBA through North Central University and a Master's of the Arts specializing in English from Grand Canyon University. And I too am certified with the Orton Gillingham, which is foundational details of reading and phonics. What else? Oh, my core values were number 1 and number 6, the appreciation of our national heritage. Growing up in Hawaii and Guam, we were taught the Pacific Islander heritage. So coming here when I was 38, I learned a whole lot of stuff I didn't know. Found it very interesting. And high standards of academic excellence means we put a value on education. And that's encouraging as a teacher of public schools in multiple states where education was more of babysitting. And that was really sad. But here I see where we're all in unison wanting the same thing, which is excellent leadership with our children, and learning will be taking place. The evidence of learning will be taking place in the classrooms, which is exciting. What else about me? Oh, my youngest is 30 and my oldest is almost 38. So I substitute and tutor right now, and I tutored or substituted today, and the kids were dropped when I told them, yeah, I'm 50, I'm going to be 59, and they're like, what? when I told them I graduated in 85, they were like, what was it like back then? And I'm like, oh, here we go. So I was telling them the difference in education now and the difference in education back then was we learned from our reading, we learned from our elders, we learned from seeing and hands-on. And so it's encouraging to see that we're actually getting back to that. It's called old school.
Definitely true. Even believe it or not, even in middle school, they still think you're a superhero. They're just not willing to admit it.
Admit it, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Right?
I had middle schoolers in my actually I teach middle schoolers now, but in my last job at over at Golden View Classical Academy, and I just and one of the middle schoolers just extemporaneously one day shared with me that she thought I was old school, and I asked why, and she said, "Well, you were born last century." Anyway,
We've
uh,
experienced a lot, multiple decades, 2 centuries. Well, I told them about corporal punishment, and they're like, "What?" I go, "Then you get home, mama gets you, then dad gets home, he gets you, and grandparents get you on the weekend." So, old school.
okay, well, we won't be doing corporal punishment at John Adams Academy. That's a very old school idea. That's out of fashion. But thank you for sharing, Christy Lynn. I really appreciate it. But we all want to know, which island were you on? Oh, I don't know if you heard the question. Christy Lynn, did you hear the
Okay,
question?
yes, I did. I was trying to unmute myself. I
Okay.
was born and raised at Tripler Hospital parking lot, which is on Oahu,
On Oahu. Okay, great.
and
Yeah,
then
wonderful.
Guam, which is 46 by 6.
Hmm.
Uh-huh.
I hear you. Yeah. Great. And then I think we're on Shiloh Stuckey. She'll be one of our third grade teacher.
Hi guys, I'm Shiloh. I'm about ready to graduate from Colorado Christian University this next month in May, so that's exciting, with a degree in elementary education and a minor in special education. So I am loving that. I'm currently student teaching in a fourth grade class, and I have a lot of experience in second grade as well, but a fair amount of experience all the way through from K through sixth. So I am super excited to teach third grade. I love that age so much. They're so sweet. They're starting to be more independent, but still somewhat dependent on you. So I think that's a super sweet balance. And I'm really excited for the content material that kiddos learn in third grade as well. So yeah, I think what I'm super excited about with John Adams, I was classically educated growing up. So I'm excited to kind of go back to my roots in that way. And yeah, I think the pillars or the 10 core values, the main one that stands out to me is that scholared. I literally had it. The scholar like driven learning and empowerment and accountability as well, that a lot of you guys also touched on. So I'm super excited to kind of instill in students that excitement and passion for learning. And I love teaching. I've always had a sweet spot in my heart for kids, and I'm super excited to, yeah, dedicate as much of my life as the Lord calls me to, yeah, loving children and teaching them. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for sharing, Shiloh. So, and that brings us to, well, I temporarily lost my screen here. That brings us, I think, to Sarah, right? Sarah can't join us tonight, but Sarah Berger. Sarah, you're on. So good.
Yes. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, great. Yeah, my name is Sarah Berger, and I'm going to be the PETA, or what I call the PEAT, because I'm really more of an assistant teacher, I think, and which is fine because that's what I do now. I'm actually a PETA at Golden View Classical Academy, and I actually work with Tyler Carnegie, who is going to be the athletic director at John Adams, and very excited about helping to start another classical school. I actually really like where I work. I actually really like the classical school, but there's a few things that John Adams has to offer that I think is really exciting. And so I'm willing to move over there and move my children over there. I'm originally from Iowa. I played sports pretty much. My whole life was about sports when I was growing up. I'm from a really small town in Iowa, and that's just the culture there. And my goal was to be a basketball player for the University of Iowa. I practiced hours a day, and anyway, I have a lot of experience with just the process of trying to get good at things, to get good at sports. But that to me, because of the fact that what happened was I burned myself out. And so because of that experience, it built character in me. But also with that, I feel like I'm able to, how I help teach is I actually emphasize students not necessarily being, you don't have to be good at sports, but I just want you to try. And really what we're trying to do is help you to make a part of your life exercise, moving. And then with that, just currently in my job right now, a lot of my job is instilling virtue as far as like honesty, integrity, how to lose, how to win, you name it. So I guess my background as far as teaching, I've been a TA mostly, but because I have so much experience in sports, playing and kind of coaching outside of the school, I have actually taught like in upward sports and different rec leagues. Before I did this, I actually have my master's degree in counseling, and from Denver Seminary, and I was actually planning on becoming a counselor in a church, but I decided to become a career counselor at a community college, and so I did that for quite a few years in Colorado. And it's amazing how much counseling you do when you're a PE teacher. And so I definitely use a lot of my counseling skills when I'm helping students.
I think that's true. I mean, just the psychology of teams is just really important to tap into and understand well in order to have a team be high performing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're graced with we'll have a full gym, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
We'll have all this land, and so we're really hopeful that we'll be able to offer a ton of athletics. Sarah, are you hoping for like one kind of a sport over any other? Like, what's your favorite sport?
Oh, well, like I said, I played basketball a lot, and I did play in college a little bit. Like I said, I got burned out, but the sports I really love, to be honest, are basketball, soccer, even though I never played it in high school because I'm from such a small school, but I've learned to love that sport probably more than any other sport. Just because I feel like it teaches so many skills that can help you in other sports. And so we have found that both Mr. Carnegie and I both really love soccer. We found that kids who do play soccer actually end up a lot of times being better at other sports just because of what they learned in soccer. I also love track. That was actually another one of my sports. I was a sprinter. I love a lot of sports. Actually, what I'll probably do, I'm kind of excited about it because a lot of the girls at Golden View are really into flag football, and it's a new sport for girls, and it's kind of exciting because frankly, they're really, really good. And it's just kind of exciting to see girls be really good at a sport that they've never been able to play before. And so, so I might start a flag football club. If not that, maybe basketball. I'm kind of open, so whatever is needed, and just excited.
Yeah, I think that's great. We're hoping to offer as many of those sports as we can. A lot will depend on what the interest of the student body is. But basketball and soccer and certainly track and cross country and volleyball are on everyone's short list. We have the facilities for it, and if we've got interest, we're going to offer the sport. So it's very, very exciting that we have you on board. You mentioned Tyler Carnegie. I'm just going to put in a little pitch for him. I don't know if he's joined us tonight as a listener. He had a webinar a couple of weeks ago that you'll find on our website in which he laid out the entire athletics program that we're going to offer. And so that's worth a look-see. I would go to our website after this webinar is concluded, of course, and take a look at that webinar if you're interested in sports. We view that athletics are an integral part of the curriculum. And like I said, we're excited about the facility that we have, so we're going to offer as many as we absolutely can. I think that's the list of people that we had speaking today, but I wanted to kind of open up the discussion before we hit the Q&A. And I'll go first. I don't mean to put the fear in you. Now, all these faculty folks, yeah, they joined us and they were primed with the notion that they would offer a 3-minute statement. But I'm gonna challenge a couple of them to ask a question, and I won't cold call you. I'll just ask you to volunteer to answer this question. Um, what does classical education mean to you personally? I know a couple of you have said you're classically educated. Perhaps I could ask you to speak to. I'll speak to my experience as a math teacher and that and just to get the conversation started, and I hope some other people will join in. I teach in a classical style, meaning I give the students problems that they don't know how to solve initially. I give them workable problems, problems that can be solved using background that they've had from previous experience. But then I let them struggle a little bit. I let them engage in productive struggle and determine framework for the problem. They look at the data they have. They look at all that they've learned previously that they might deploy against the problem. And then I rely upon their discussion. And that's not unstructured discussion. It's one that's prompted by a series of probing Socratic questions. So we'll ask them if they're solving a triangle problem, if they've seen triangle problems like this before, if they've noticed a relationship between the sides of the triangles. We'll ask them how long the sides of a triangle could be. And so the math discussion in a classical environment looks a lot different from a math program at a traditional school, in that it's more inquiry based. It's more You're more likely to see seats in an amphitheater style, I suppose, than seats in a center, because you're looking for a whole group discussion, and you're looking for really probing questions that help kids um, order the information that they've had before. Because what you're actually trying to look at in mathematics is what you're actually trying to teach is not a formula, say. You're not trying to teach a lifeless math fact, but what you're trying to teach is a structure by which scholars can inquire about the world around them. They're trying to teach them problem-solving methods explicitly that they can deploy to other problems. And that's my short way of saying that uh, you know, classical education in math means Socratic inquiry. And so I wanted to know what this meant to you. And I hope that someone would volunteer and just jump in and maybe answer that question. What does classical mean to you? Oh, we have Shiloh just turned her camera on, so I'm going to call on Shiloh.
Hi. Yeah, sorry, my phone's kind of glitching, so it might turn off and on. But I think classical education to me, man, there's so much that I could talk about. I adore classical education, but I think kind of the big encompassing thing that I'd like to focus on just for the purposes of answering the question right now is learning about um, not just what to think, but really how to think. Classical education really emphasizes engaging with foundational texts and rich literature and asking meaningful questions, pursuing truth, goodness, beauty, rather than just like focusing on information or different outcomes. It trains the mind to reason clearly and communicate effectively and seek understanding across many disciplines. I think it's also really deeply formative. So it shapes not just the students' intellect, but also their character. So through discussion and reflection and wrestling with big ideas, students can learn how to listen well and articulate thoughts well and engage respectfully with varying perspectives. So what makes classical education especially meaningful to me is that it just invites students into a larger conversation that spans history. You're not just learning facts, you're participating in something that's deeply meaningful and enduring. So it's personally taught me how to value wisdom over just quick intellectual answers and to approach the world with curiosity and humility and purpose. So yeah, that's kind of my overarching thought. But
It's really very well stated. I very much appreciate that. Christy Lynn, you're raising your hand to get in on this.
Yeah, I wanted to speak also because she spoke, I mean, she nailed it on the head. But what I like about classical is it, like she said, it teaches the child or the student to think, the scholar to think, not what to think, but how to think for themselves, how to advocate for themselves, how to stand by this is what I think and this is why I think it, to challenge themselves to go a step further rather than just regurgitating a lesson that they've learned. It's what did that lesson mean to me? and how do I apply it to my life, and how do I use it to better the world around me?
And Sarah, you turned on your camera as well. Would you like to jump in? Sarah Berger?
Sure. Yeah, I agree with all what other people have said. I guess I've been a TA actually at a classical school for 4 years now, and I know about the Socratic method and asking quality questions, and I love that. And what I really found that I loved, especially when I was a fifth grade TA, was all the great books that they read, but it's not just reading the books, how they analyze what happens in the stories and how they talk about the characters and like the different virtues and vices of the characters and why they do what they do. And just I feel like it's a very comprehensive um education where you really deeply talk about why things happen. And I was so impressed by that when I was sitting there as a fifth grade TA and just listening to the teacher, ask questions about what they thought about, a certain such and such a character in a book, and why did this character do this, and what could he have done differently, and just the discussion that was created with that was pretty amazing. And so I don't know how to put that in less words, but I just, from my experience of being a TA in a classical school, that's one of the things that I think of when I think of classical education.
Now, as a math teacher, I have to say I'm ill prepared to answer a question like that in literature myself, but I can speak as a parent whose daughters both went through the classical school experience. After having, I don't know, a middling experience in a school that didn't have a classical model, they were reading informational pamphlets in their school, and it was these texts were maybe 3 or 4 or 5 paragraphs long at most, and they were. I'm sorry to say this, but they're a little dry. There's value in learning how to read an informational text, of course, but they're not real stories. They're not real stories with actual characters, and they're not motivations you have to probe. These are not like people. And so actual literature, whole books, which is what the classical education focuses on, helps you make a human connection to the characters, and therefore helps you make a human connection to your colleagues, your fellow scholars. Framesk, you had your hand up as well, so I'm going to ask you to weigh in on this.
Well, to me, classical education means like building a strong foundation, not just academically, like, I mean, like with character wise as well, having students to be engaged and um, for them, like just to give them that time to think and analyze whatever they're working on and just give them that opportunity. It's like, among each other, like asking questions, responding back, expressing their ideas clearly. I think that really helps students like with discipline and also with their thinking skills and just, the growth in them and moving them forward.
Thank you very much for offering that. Anyone else want to weigh in on this? All right, I'm going to turn to the Q&A here. We have a couple questions, and here's one, and it's germane to what we were just talking about. A person asked, I have heard classical education is about memorizing. Why would that be better than Montessori, which has become more popular in recent years? Would anyone like to take that question and just offer a couple thoughts on it? I have my own, but I'd like to open it up. I'll offer a perspective on math, and then I'll ask you guys to weigh in as well. In math, it's important to memorize certain things. It's important to memorize, for example, your math facts, but not necessarily formulas. The value in your education doesn't come from memorizing the quadratic formula. It comes from understanding how the quadratic formula is used, and why it's important. And even comes from deriving the quadratic formula, frankly. And so while memorization is important for improving math fluency, that's when you get to the secondary school environment, that's not the objective of the education. The objective of the education, as you've heard so many others speak to tonight, helping students learn how to think about a problem. So classical education does have an important component in memorization, of math, facts, and I presume in phonics and what have you as well. But that's not the core of the education. That's a means, I think. Does anyone else want to weigh in on that? I'll assume that was well said, and that folks agree. But yeah, I would say that there are some other things that I've observed that my kids have done in a classical environment that they help them make a connection to the curriculum and then to their fellow scholars. Every Wednesday in their school, there was a performance, and the class gave a performance. And the performance wasn't a dramatic one necessarily. It was a recitation. It was a recitation, perhaps, of the Gettysburg Address or of Lincoln's inaugural address, or it was a recitation, perhaps, of the preamble to the Constitution or the Declaration, and or it was just poetry. They were just lovely poems that the children read, and there is value in having scholars memorize those things as well. It teaches them about the meter of poetry and the structure of poetry. It teaches them rhetoric, which is a key goal, of course, in classical education. It teaches them how to make an argument and how to manage the cadence of their speech. But also, it's an intriguing way to connect with literature, right? It draws you out of being just a passive, say, observer of literature and draws you into it, so you can be an active participant. So I would say that memorization is important in that respect as well. As to Montessori, like both my kids were Montessori kids. I don't know if anyone else here has Montessori experience. Montessori is wonderful at the early grades. When a lot of students are just kind of learning in the moment. And with my kids, it was a wonderful formative experience for them in the preschool years. And I would never say anything ill of Montessori. I'm not sure like they would have responded well to Montessori-like approaches as a grammar school students. And so for us, the right decision was definitely to go with a more structured approach to instruction. I see Christy Lynn, you're nodding your head there. So, so did you want to weigh in on that one? No, okay, okay, she's all right. Okay, I have another question here in the Q&A, which is how exactly is this school different from the regular Douglas County public one down in Roxborough, or are they basically the same? I'll let you guys think about that for a little bit, then I'll open it up. Just an administrative detail here first is that we're authorized by the Charter School Institute, which is a statewide school board appointed by the governor of Colorado. It's designed specifically to be nonpartisan and disconnected from local politics. So we're not actually part of the Douglas County School District. We're part of the state of Colorado. And that puts us in a position where we're kind of ill prepared to compare ourselves against Douglas County public schools because we just don't know. We're not in the information flow and don't know a lot about them. We love that they exist. We love that they offer educational options for students. I think we're different because we're a classical model, a traditional public school, as opposed to a public charter that's like us, is focused on classical education, doesn't have the classical focus, doesn't I don't believe have the focus on whole books and on Socratic inquiry that we have at John Adams Academy. I don't know if others have a thought. I can't directly compare the two. I ask you to weigh in. Other thoughts? Anyone with experience in that area? I have another thought
I
that
would like to. Oh, sorry.
Oh, who's speaking? Oh, from Esk. Hi.
It's
I have
me
another
from
thought
Ask.
too.
Oh, that's fine. So, I feel like with public schools is more general like approach, rather than like a charter school is more into like leadership and responsibility, which students more learn about, and that's the main focus, rather than just public schools because I have not in Colorado, I have not worked in public school in Colorado, but in Atlanta, I was working in public school. It's more just like a general, like it's not with the core value of how they put into like the knowledge of like leadership and the responsibility that they want to give students. So I feel like charter school contain all of that important key like points for students, especially with leaderships.
Yeah, I think that brings up a really good point. It provokes something in my memory as well. My daughter, my 18-year-old daughter, who's about to graduate right now from high school, just went through the classical education, and a key component of the classical education actually really helped her. She struggled with communication issues, and I won't get into a lot of detail, but she had difficulty composing sentences, composing paragraphs, composing speeches. And the one thing about the classical education that really helped her, and she's about to give her senior thesis defense, which is something I know that they don't do in most public schools, as opposed to here. The one thing that the classical education encouraged her to do is, and mandated, in fact, is create speeches, structure arguments, engage in rhetoric, and I think that was a really important part of her formation and development. I don't know what she's going to say during her senior thesis defense, but I'm really looking forward to it. And I would just add, and I've got a couple more hands up here, and I'm going to call on you in just a minute. I would just add that process of having to structure a large argument or write a large paper, and then actually defend your ideas in a public setting, it's scary sometimes for scholars, but it's also a really important formative experience that I don't think you get in a traditional public school. And again, just to
Yes.
clarify, we are a public school. We're just we're a public charter, and we're focused on a classical education model. So that's how we're distinct anyway from the public schools that are in Douglas County. Cassie, you have your hand up, so I'm going to ask
Oh,
Cassie Buccio to weigh in. She didn't speak tonight, but Cassie, do you want to just introduce yourself and explain what you're teaching? And
oh yeah. I'm Cassie Buccio. I'm going to be teaching second grade at John Adams. I'm very excited. And three of my oldest kiddos are going to be joining me at John Adams. And I wanted to just weigh in real fast because those three kiddos are currently at Roxborough Primary and Intermediate. And the differences that I'm kind of seeing so far is that Roxborough, though there are like very nice things about the school, is heavily into technology. And even though some of the teachers might be great about focusing on character development and everything, it's not a focus of the schools necessarily. So that's really why we're excited to have the kids go to John Adams, and I'm excited to teach there.
thank you very much. Do we have another hand up, or is it Christy Land? Yes, you wanted to weigh in?
Yeah, I put it down. Not teaching out in Roxborough, that doesn't count because it was ECE, but working with the other schools that I've noticed around Colorado and around the other states compared to the general public school compared to the classical school was it teaches classical teaches character building. It focuses on the individual as a whole and not just the technology or just pass that test, because they focus a lot on if they pass the test, they get the more money, they get the more support, blah, blah, blah. But with classical, it focuses on the whole being. Again, like I said earlier, was with the application of how can it better me to better society. It stretches beyond just me. It focuses on how I can contribute to society as a scholar. This from the from the classics, we learned the virtue, the integrity, the honor system, accountability, which seems to be lacking in almost everything. So we teach that. So our scholars hold their head high because they are individuals that have a confidence in themselves because of what they have been taught. How do I advocate for myself? How do I advocate and take a stand for what I believe to be right and move forward with that?
That's a really great insight. Thank you very much. We have a few minutes left, and I have one question here that I thought would be helpful to answer. It's can you speak to the larger class sizes and what tools or techniques will you use to promote individualized growth? I mean, I think differentiating in a classroom is a teacher's continual challenge. Every year you get a new group of students, and you have a new set of challenges in attempting to teach material that's challenging for everybody. Not so challenging that you leave you leave the strugglers behind, but challenging enough that you keep those who are adept moving quickly. So I'd ask around the room here, from your own personal experience in differentiating, how you've done that in the classroom before, and how you intend to bring those skills to bear at JAA. Oh, do we have a volunteer? I like to. I'll maybe prime the thought a little bit with. This is a really provocative question. It's a really hard one to the attendee who to ask this one. We try to focus on activities that are what we call low floor and high ceiling. So you ask a question that a struggler could answer and find very challenging, and that a person who's adept in the lesson of that day might find endlessly interesting to go and expand and explore. And a good example of that in mathematics is to ask people if the repeating decimal 0.99999 is 1 or not. Believe it or not, that's about a 40-minute middle school class in pre-algebra, and it's an amazing discussion that people can have. So what's important is to present a very interesting question that's accessible to students of all abilities, and then to manage that classroom discussion so that it so that the conversation is indeed productive. You can do lots of little tricks, like you can split people into groups of different ability levels. You can present them with different questions, but I've always found the most rewarding moments in my classrooms have been when I can give a question that everybody can find interesting and everybody can engage with everybody else in. So I see Christy's nodding her head. Whenever you nod your head, you're volunteering to talk there, Christy. Christy Lynn. So yeah. Did you want to weigh in, or it's fine? I'll put you on the spot many times here tonight.
I don't mind. I keep trying to touch the upper microphone when it's the bottom microphone. Again,
Okay.
technology is not my friend. I like that because one thing that Miss Sarah has emphasized since the day I met her was inclusiveness, where everyone is involved, everyone is their voice matters, and I really really like that. And it takes a special kind of teacher that can actually include 30 different viewpoints in to where everyone feels that their voice is heard and their voice matters. And with all the way down to the little littles, sorry, it's either little littles or tater tots. The littles is we open like today when I was doing second grade, it was like, well, what's your favorite color? And then they had to defend it. Why was it? One girl said that it was pink, and she says, because my dad likes red and my mom likes white. I thought that was a wonderful answer because that way she was valuing both points of view, and she brought it forward. Her real favorite color is fuchsia, but to know that if you come from another school where you were in the back and you were quiet and you you got away with that. I like the fact that we're actually going to draw them forward, and I want to know what you think. I want to know what is your viewpoint on this, and how did you come up with that, or why is it valuable to you? And again, it's allowing every scholar to be included in it. And sometimes that's going to be challenging for the teachers. How do we get 30 different viewpoints acceptable?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the key to that is managing the discussion so that it's teacher led in a sense, right? And it's Socratic. You have to guide the classroom with probing questions that are tailored for the ability of the student that you're talking to. Framesk, you had your hand up, and we have just a couple of minutes left, so I'll ask you to just summarize quickly here, and then we'll have to unfortunately wrap for the evening.
I'm gonna make it short. So in my classroom, I know I teach first graders, but to have like all students engage and making sure that you know who's paying attention, who understands, who doesn't, like who don't understand. I always use like an exit ticket. That's how I group my students to make sure that everyone is learning and everyone is on the same page. And if I have students struggling, I go back into my groups and then I look at my sticky notes, which I have passed around and did their exit ticket on. And that's how I support my little ones.
Yeah, that's a really great thought. I think a part of a teacher's basic toolkit is you use things like exit tickets and entrance tickets as part of the formative
Yes.
assessment toolkit to figure out if your scholars got the lesson. personally, I've used a lot
Yes.
of entrance tickets, and the idea behind entrance tickets is you're quizzing the students on whether they've recalled the lesson from yesterday, and and to what extent and what level of variability you have in the classroom. And that helps you extemporize in a sense with your
Hmm.
material and adapt it on the fly, so that way you're reaching the scholar just where he or she needs to be.
Yes, and that helps to put your groups together and to be, like to support the students' needs.
Absolutely. We only have like a minute or two left, and I think we've answered most of the questions here. If I haven't gotten to your question, though, I apologize. I do ask you to reach out, and I go ahead and you can reach out to Sarah Kieswetter or to myself, at the email addresses. The easiest way to ask your question is to write to info@jaadougco.org. That's info@jaadougco.org. And we monitor that pretty much daily, and we're happy to answer any questions that you have. I'd also encourage you to attend one of our events. You'll find our website always has our events listed on it. And so if you just go to the homepage and you scroll all the way down, you'll find a list of upcoming events. We have on April 11th, we have an informational session coming up at Calvary South Denver. I encourage you to come to that one. It's a wonderful venue. It's certainly got a lot of space in it, and we'll have Sarah there. We'll have myself there, and we'll have as many of the faculty who could be there. And it's a great chance to come and then learn more about the school. We'll also have a meet and greet on April 18th, and that's down in Sedalia. It's held at a private individual's home. So what you should do is RSVP on the website. Feel free to RSVP on the website, and then you'll be mailed the address for that event. That's a wonderful opportunity to meet with Sarah Kieswetter, the headmaster, and faculty. And then we'll also be present at a number of events that are hosted by Sterling Ranch. We have some of those coming up as well. We'll see us or people affiliated with the school at the Kentucky Derby party and the swim events and all those things coming up. So I encourage you to keep in touch and stay in touch with the news.
Dan, what time was Saturday?
Uh, on Saturday,
Three?
that one is at, I think I don't want to misspeak here. Let me just quickly check. It's at Saturday, April 11th at, I think it's 10 a.m. Yeah, 10 a.m.
Oh, 10. Okay. All right.
Calvary South. And you can RSVP on our website. One final note, and then I have to let you go because we're at an hour, is we have a new website that's coming tomorrow. So if you're listening, if you find that the website is down tomorrow morning for about an hour, please forgive us. It's because we're working hard to redirect the records to our new website. We're very excited about our website, and we know it's going to be very informational and easy to use. So it should be up by, I hope, early morning, but if it's mid-morning, please forgive us. We're working hard behind the scenes to ensure that you have all the information you need. So come visit our website tomorrow, and feel free to email us if you have any further questions. And with that, I'll say it was a delightful having you all listening in on our session tonight. Sarah Kieswetter, our headmaster, unfortunately had to speak at this other event. She'd been hoping to join before the end of the session, and I don't think she was able to make it, but she does send her regrets. I've been in touch with her via text, and you'll have an opportunity to meet her on the 11th. So just RSVP there on our website, and you can come and ask her all the questions you'd like. Thank you
Thank you,
tonight,
Dan.
and thank you. We had fun talking to you all. Bye now.
Thank you. Bye.